So far, Wall Street is in on the joke. They get that it's a show. They get that it's kabuki theater. But every day that passes, certainly every week that passes, there's the possibility that they're going to say, wait, we're not so sure. So the signs are running in the wrong direction. It looks like a deal is getting further away.
Isn't it sometimes the case that it's the darkest before dawn, which is to say in Washington, everybody gets angry and they say, oh, the deal's never been farther apart, and then suddenly a week later they have a deal?
No, I think that's what the president was hoping for by being a little heavy-handed in his press conference. They say that he's been doing something similar in private. He's been trying to keep it quiet. So this was an effort to use a cattle prod on Congress.
Let's talk a little bit about that cattle prod. He basically, what did he do in his press conference?
Well, his mission was to try and get the public on his side because, look, if this falls apart, people are going to be looking to make blame. And so he's a little bit staking out his turf and saying, look, I tried.
He said that basically, Republicans are trying to defend tax breaks for people who own corporate jets and for oil companies, and that if you defend those tax breaks, kids aren't going to get college loans. Pretty stark terms from this president.
Well, the first half of that is true. The second half of that isn't true. Yes, all those breaks exist, but they're such a small part that's what allows CNBC to then go on and say that this is class warfare.
Well, and what struck me is that Republicans could just declare victory. I mean, those are such small breaks that if the president's only setting his battle up around those small breaks, he's not talking about raising rates on top earners. He's not talking about any of these other big revenue measures. He's only making a case on a very small amount. Republicans could just say, okay, we'll give up those. It's less than $100 billion. And then we'll take the rest of the nearly $4 trillion in spending cuts.
No, I hadn't thought of that. It's a great idea. Either side has the opportunity to do something really surprising. And the president could do that rather than rhetoric. He should go out and give something that people would think he would never take on. Or Republicans could gain the high ground too. Because people are going to take away from this a sort of very 50,000-foot view of what's happening. And with what's going on right now, it's pretty easy to get the high ground.
The president, as you said, was trying to kind of set the terms for this debate. How effective, though, can he be? He's given lots of press conferences, lots of talk. Can he really use the bully pulpit to kind of set the narrative here, or is he limited as a president?
No, that gets through, and I've never been one of these people that buys the idea of him being overexposed, because I'm more by the White House idea that people just pick up little bits and pieces of it, and it's like in a campaign where you have to repeat and repeat and repeat. So he didn't reach a lot of people with that whole press conference yesterday, but as little pieces of it are talked about on the web, talked about on late night, it sinks in.
Does he have to sustain that campaign then? This what people are calling class warfare, or putting Republicans in a box? Do you think he has to sustain that?
They're suggesting to us that yesterday was a sort of strategic one use of the very heavy hand, and that we won't see that for a while, that now he'll be quiet again as he does the negotiations. We'll see. But Republicans, of course, are lashing back, and so that prolongs that cycle.
Right, because in the end, he does have to get a deal. The president will get blamed more than anybody else if the market that you said, rightly said, is kind of waiting and seeing. If the market does react badly, he'll get the biggest blame.
No, that's right, because not only do people expect Barack Obama to be different, to make Washington work. So when Washington's broken, Washington's frozen, not good for him. But secondly, people have brinksmanship fatigue. We had the government shut down, and now we have this again. I think most people assume it's going to happen at the last minute, and when people say Washington isn't working, he gets the most blame.
All right, last question, totally off topic, which is about the Republican field in 2012. Michelle Bachmann announced this week. What do you make of Michelle Bachmann? She's doing well in the polls. Help us think about what her role is in this primary.
She's giving her customers what she wants. Our reporters who are out in the states say that the two big things that primary voters say is that they don't like President Obama and they don't like health care. And she's going out and taking a very high decibel red meat approach to that, and people love it. And that's why she's tied in these polls. That's why we think that she could win Iowa. She could even win South Carolina. Unlikely to win the nomination, but she's going to be a big factor. It could be for a long time.
Something you said earlier in a panel we were on this week I thought was really interesting, which is that the pushback against Michelle Bachmann is Republicans want to elect somebody who can beat Barack Obama. They don't necessarily, many Republicans think she can do that. Your argument was, though, that voters don't think about November in the general election. Give me that idea.
I think that this idea that voters vote strategically, that they vote based on who's going to win, is a Washington hallucination. Voters don't vote like pundits or like political scientists. They vote for who they like. They vote who's speaking to their needs. It's no different than a city council election or a school council election. So people don't split their tickets. They're not trying to be David Broder. They're just voting for who they think best speaks for them.
Mike Allen, thanks so much.
It was fun, amazing setting, right?
Yeah, indeed. Now we'll go rafting or something.
Sounds good.